The Potato Chip Rock hike is arguably the most photographed hike in the San Diego area. This trail gives hikers amazing panoramic views and the opportunity to stand on a rock that seems to defy gravity. There are several different trailheads that you can take to get up to Potato Chip Rock, and in today's video we will be taking the trailhead that starts at Lake Poway Park. Just a small heads up about this route. If you decide to do this trail on a weekday, parking is free, but if you come on the weekend, it does cost $10. The other challenge that you will have to deal with if you come on the weekends is the crowds. We've never really seen the crowds be a problem on the trail itself, but if you're hoping for that iconic Instagram photo of you standing proudly on Potato Chip Rock, you better be prepared to stand in a line that can be somewhere upwards of 1 hour long. It's these crowds that have given this hike a little bit of an infamous reputation. If you're looking for quiet and solitude, this is not the hike for you, but if you want to challenge yourself on a beast of a hike, this one will definitely fit the bill. Dogs are allowed on this trail, but please be sure that your four-legged friend is up for this challenge. The route that we're taking in today's video has an overall distance that's just over 7 miles with 1,955 feet of elevation gain. The trail has little to no shade and it gets extremely hot here in the summer, so please be sure to bring way more water than you think you need for both you and your pet. We are nowhere near the steepest parts of the climb yet, but already we are gaining a lot of elevation and getting fantastic views of Lake Poway. At right around the 6/10 of a mile mark, you're going to make a left and you're going to get one of your last downhill breaks on your way up to Potato Chip Rock. There are 2 flat sections a little further into the hike, but other than that, it is uphill pretty much the rest of the way there. If you're already tired at this point, I really hate to break the bad news to you, but that was just the warm-up. Things are about to get crazy and you're going to be gaining right around 530 feet of elevation in just the next mile. If you're hoping to look really cute in your picture at the top, you might want to bring something to touch your hair and your makeup up because we're going to get a little banged up and sweaty on the way there. But at least the views are nice. The intense climb is yet another reason on why it's such a good idea to get an early start on this hike. We've never done the climb during the hottest part of the day and I can imagine that it would be absolutely miserable. At the top of the first climb, you will be coming to a fork. Everything is really well marked, and even though it doesn't say Potato Chip Rock, you want to make a left to stay on the Mount Woodson Trail. You're still going to be climbing at this point, but it does get a little bit less steep, so it almost feels like you're getting a break. If you haven't been able to tell already, shoes with good traction are extremely important on this hike. There are plenty of sections on this trail that are extremely slippery, and if you don't have shoes with a ton of traction, you're going down for sure. Soon you'll be coming up on another fork, and just like the first one, you want to go left again. You're going to get another slight break here with the trail just barely gaining any elevation. And it gets even better once you get to the top of these stairs because the trail pretty much levels out. After all of the climbing that we had been doing, this is a very well-deserved break. There's also a wide open area with some picnic tables here, so if you need to sit down and take a break, you can do that too. If you come during the right time of year, which unfortunately we didn't in this video, you can see a lot of wildflowers here. Around the 2 mile mark, the flatness of the trail will sadly come to an end and you will be back to climbing. The vast majority of the trail is going to be a mix of switchbacks and stairs. If you didn't enjoy the first mile, there is unfortunately bad news, because over the course of the second mile, you're going to be climbing 820 feet. Be sure to watch your step as you make your way up the stairs. Every once in a while, you'll see a step that has just a little bit of a lip on it, and it's just big enough to grab your toe and trip you up. If you need to take a break, I cannot blame you one bit, and in fact, we took several on the way up. The good thing is that the view continues to get better as you get higher up, and soon enough you should be able to see the ocean. And that's not the only thing you should be able to see. If you go on a clear enough day, you should get a good view of Twin Peaks Mountain, Poway, and possibly even Black Mountain. There are several great photo ops along the trail that aren't the potato chip. One of our favorites happens about 2.2 miles into the hike. That's where you'll find a giant boulder with a huge split right in the middle of it. This makes for a really cool picture. The view from the crag is also pretty cool, and if you visit at the right time of day, you might be able to get a little bit of shade here as well. We didn't want to spend too much time here though, because the hottest part of the day was still coming and we wanted to be on our way down the hill by that point. There used to be another really good option for shade on this hike, and it was the tree that was not too far from the ridgeline. Unfortunately, on our last visit, we saw that the tree had fallen over. I'm not sure if this was caused by people or environmental factors, but it was really sad to see it down. This used to be a spot that was great for one last break before you got up to the top. I mean, it still is, but it's just a lot warmer now. After you pass the old fallen tree, you are just 1/10 of a mile from the ridgeline. As soon as you reach the top, you will encounter a couple of forks, and this time you need to go right at both of them. And at this point, I am happy to tell you that the vast majority of the hard parts of this trail are now behind you. There's still a little bit of climbing left to do, but nothing like what you've already been through. And the other great thing about reaching the ridge is that you are only 1 more mile away from the Potato Chip Rock. You're also going to be getting your first views of the other side of the mountain at this point. As much as you wouldn't expect it with all of the stairs and nasty terrain, we have encountered several mountain bikers on this part of the trail. So if you hear bells coming from off in the distance, there's a good chance there is a mountain bike coming. Not all of them were using bells either, so you have to keep your eyes peeled because they were coming through with a pretty good amount of speed. Once you see the cell phone towers start to appear, you are getting very close. These make for a great way to judge how much further you have to go because the potato chip is pretty much directly at the bottom of them. And also be sure to keep your eyes peeled for the hippopotamus rock, which is on the left side of the trail. When we first heard a guy talking about it, we thought he was just dehydrated and delirious, but if you look at it long enough, it does look like a hippo. After one last viewpoint, which was pretty spectacular, we rounded a corner and got our first glimpses of Potato Chip Rock. And to our surprise, it appeared that we had beat the crowds this day. We had been here several times before and we weren't going to bother to climb up on it on this trip, but when we saw that there was practically no one there, we figured, we might as well go up there one more time. There are 2 different ways that we found to climb up onto Potato Chip Rock. The first one is the one that V is doing here, where she climbed up the backside and then hopped across the gap. The other way is to climb up the crack in between the 2 boulders. This is the way that we usually get down off of the rock. It works great, but it's just a little bit trickier. Regardless of how we got to the top, we made sure to get our obligatory potato chip photo. Now that the photo's done, V is going to climb down that crack and show you the other way to get up and down off of Potato Chip Rock. As long as you wedge yourself into the corner, you should have plenty of traction and it shouldn't be a big problem. But some people definitely get a little bit freaked out on the way down. After we got down off of Potato Chip Rock, we realized that we had never checked out what was past it. This is one of the alternate routes to Potato Chip Rock, and it's called Woodson Mountain. And with all those antennas up here, you get some pretty good cell reception. This particular route is rated as moderate. It has a distance of 4.1 miles and an elevation gain of 1,220 feet. Obviously, we didn't want to go all the way down and then have to climb back up again, so we just took in the view for a second and then started on our way back. The good thing about the way back is that it's probably about 95% downhill. But on the downside of that, going down all those stairs might take a toll on your legs. Even though you're probably going to be cursing those stairs, and I bet you're going to be limping for a couple days afterwards, there's something you might not know about them, and you may have even taken for granted. The stairs on this trail are not the work of nature or magic. These stairs actually exist because of the sweat and hard work of some awesome volunteers that have dedicated the last 30+ years of their lives to maintaining this trail. They are up here working on it weekly, and that's why the trail is always in such great shape. So if you decide to do this hike, please be sure to do them and everyone else a favor and practice leave no trace principles. Once you get back to the end of the ridgeline, you'll be at the spot with the 2 forks again. Be sure to stay left. There's a pretty decent amount of signage, so it shouldn't be any problem, and if you take the second fork, I believe it only goes to a viewpoint, so you should know pretty quickly that you went the wrong way. And here we are back at the steep section. If you can, try to step lightly as you go down the stairs because it will really save your legs. And also be careful because for some reason going down the hill seems a lot more slippery than going up. I will say though that the stairs do keep the sliding to a minimum and the slipperiest parts of the trail are still yet to come. At this point we are once again approaching that flat area with the picnic tables. The trail does split right after you pass the picnic tables, and I think that it does meet up, but we've always taken the trail to the right. And that's followed by another right at the next fork. And this is the slippery part that I was talking about just a second ago. Please be careful because V and I have both slipped several times in this section. As you round the bend, you're going to get a nice close-up look of the lake, and you're probably almost going to be able to see your car. But you're not done just yet, and you have a little under a mile left to go. And that last mile is not going to let you go easy, because just when you thought the hard parts were over, you have one more hill to climb. As you can tell, we were both very enthusiastic about it. Be sure to stay right at the fork at the top of the hill, because I don't believe that the Sumac Trail goes back to the parking lot. And at this point, I doubt you really want to add a whole lot more miles to this hike. If you've made it to this point in the hike, I have more really good news for you, and that is you are pretty much home free. You are just one long, gentle downhill from being back to your car. Even though this hike is brutal, it has somehow found its way into our hearts, and it is one of our favorite trails in San Diego. If you're looking for more crazy San Diego hiking adventures, click in the upper corner of the screen right now to watch our video about the Ho Chi Minh Trail. It's a short trail, but it's a lot of fun. What are your favorite hikes in San Diego? Feel free to let us know in the comments below. Check us out on Instagram at thatadventurelife_official, and for all the information about the Potato Chip Rock Hike, head on over to thatadventurelife.com.